Welcome, everybody, and I'm so excited to share with you a little bit about the invisible forces that are controlling your life. Sounds scary, right? So, I wanted to share a little bit with you about what I learned recently about the invisible forces that are controlling your life. There are these forces that control every decision that we make, everything that we do, and how we feel about a lot of things in our life, about everything in our life, right? So these invisible forces, a lot of us grew up with them programmed into us. Some of us never had any, and some of us desperately want them. And what these invisible forces are your values. And I know it sounds silly, but if I asked you your values right now, would you have put a lot of thought into your life, or are they just kind of things that you know, right? Like, I value trust. One of the things, right? Would you know? Have you put a lot of time into it? And the answer for me was no. I went to the Date with Destiny seminar with Tony Robbins, and we spent about 2 days going over our values. And I'd love to share with you a little bit about what I learned, what I want to improve, and some huge aha moments that I had that I would love to share with you. And I'm going to post in our mastermind group a nice little worksheet for you guys to fill out. And I think it would be interesting for you to sit down and do it. So I hope that you do. And if not, it's just going to be something to think about. You'll definitely find some value in this episode. And before I get started, I just want to thank you guys so much again for listening to my podcast. I'm so excited for this journey, and I cannot thank you enough for being here. So let's get started. Welcome to the Gina Bianca podcast. Forces that are changing your life. All right. So I want to start off by asking you, what are your values? And I want you to take a moment and I want you to write down 6 of them, or think of 6 of them. I'm sure if you're listening to this, you might be driving, whatever. Think of 6 of your values, right? And then think about, what order are those values in, right? So think of it this way. I showed up at the Tony Robbins seminar, and when I wrote out my values, I was like putting all of these things down that I didn't even know what they meant. I just wrote down what sounded good. And I realized very quickly that seminar, you cannot bullshit your way through, right? So I was about to have some serious, introspective work that was about to be getting done, right? So I wrote down my values about 15 or 20 times, and then I got to a final list that I felt okay about. And then I looked at the list and I was like, wow, this person must be stressed out. This person only values work. This person is super hard on themselves. This person, she must be really stressed out, right? So I looked at my values, and number 1 for my values was success. And not success to feel like I achieved something, but so other people would respect me and appreciate me and all of these things. And that was number 1 on my values. Right? And I can see why. I've been working really, really hard for about 10 years in this business, and I have loved not every minute, but most of it, but it has taken over my life, So when I wrote down my values and I looked at them and I saw what order they were in, it really, if you look at your values and you take yourself out of the equation and don't say I must be this way because of my values. Just say a person with these values in this order might be whatever, right? And it was a very eye-opening exercise for me because I realized a lot of the feelings I want to have and a lot of the things I want to feel aren't possible when my values are those values in that order. right? So my challenge to you is, number one, write down your values, pick 6 of them, and then take your time to put them in order. A way you could put them in order is saying, what do I value more, love or success? And that's how you can put them in order, right? So put them all in order and then look at that list and just pretend that it's not your values, that they're not your values, and just say what you would expect a person with these values in this order to be like. And just sit with that for a minute. And it doesn't have to be super negative. It could just be like a realization of, okay, my values are completely focused on work, and I wonder why my relationships are so stressed out. Right? So anyways, as soon as you have all of your values down and you have them in order, I want you to just take a little bit of time and just like take it in, right? Next, I want you to think about, what kind of person do you ultimately want to become in your life? What kind of person do you ultimately want to become in your life? I heard a quote and it said, the only thing you take with you in this life is who you become. And it shook me to my soul because I was like, can't take the car with me, can't take the houses with me, can't take this with me. All you take with you is who you have become. And it really made me think about, who do I ultimately want to become in this life? And when you think of that, write it down. Write down 5 pages of that. That's what we should be writing down and planning. Not how many Instagram posts to post, not everything. Like, there's so many things we focus on that are so like not important. And yes, social media is important. We're going to talk about social media a lot on this podcast, but it controls your life sometimes. And I would rather have you write out 5 pages of the person you want to become than write down a social media strategy right now, right? So, who do you ultimately want to become? Do you want your kids to look up to your relationship? Do you want to give back to others? Do you want to be a trusted person in the world? Do you want to be happy? Do you want to be silly? Who do you want to become? Now think about what values are at the top of that person's list. Because I'm sure somebody who gives back all the time and who takes care of others and who is a generous soul might not have success at the top of their list. They might have giving back. They might have making an impact. They might have different values, right? And I'm not telling you have to be that person, but you have to think about the person that you want to become. And think about the values that are on the top of their list. What values might you have to get rid of completely? I know that a value that I had to get rid of completely, which I still work hard on every day, is significance, the feeling of feeling special. And I grew up with a very difficult childhood with my father, with a lot of things where I didn't feel special a lot of the time. And that came with me into my adulthood, which comes with me everywhere, right? So maybe feeling special needs to be at the bottom or off my list, and I can feel special in a different way, like giving back. Do you see what I mean, you guys? A lot of the values we hold and we don't even know that they're there because we never do the work on ourselves, right? So a lot of the time we have to take a look at these things, and we might be able to change our life simply by eliminating one of those values, right? There's so much more that goes in with this exercise, you guys. We did it over 2 days, and it was probably one of the most life-changing exercises I've ever done. It does take a lot of time, but I would love to get you thinking about it. And if you're interested in taking it a step further, reach out to me and I can maybe help you out. So if you like this episode, take a screenshot of it, share it on your story, and tag me. I am Gina Bianca on Instagram, or Gina Bianca Podcast on Instagram. We'd love to hear from you. I would love to hear what your values are, where you'd like them to be. You don't have to get too crazy vulnerable on social, but feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to know what you thought of this episode. If you want more episodes like it, if you want more info, I'm going to post our show notes and some worksheets for you in Mastermind to give you some support. And if you don't know what Mastermind is, you guys, it's our amazing online education forum where we do so much to give back to the industry, and we would love to see you there. Again, thank you guys so much for listening, and I will see you again soon. Thanks for listening to the Gina Bianca podcast. I love you guys so much, and I hope you have an amazing day. Thank you for listening to the Gina Bianca podcast.